Jadon Sancho has turned down yet another offer. Chelsea, clubs in Saudi, clubs in Turkey, and now Roma. The golden opportunity to go to Rome, a really nice city, be part of a system that would really suit him. 25 years of age, got his whole career ahead, got a World Cup season, prove everyone wrong. And he said no. He was apparently offered 200k a week at Chelsea. Not enough. Club World Cup champions, not enough. The guy that said 2 years ago in his statement, all he wants to do is play football. The guy that spoke about freedom doesn't want to go. Reports coming out he wants Manchester United to pay him out to leave. What is Jadon Sancho's problem? Player power. Giving a young player too much money when they care about money more than football, it's a problem. And Man United and Ed Woodward are to blame for that problem. And we're going to have a serious conversation about what Manchester United need to do with players like Sancho, players like Garnacho. This is the end of player power. We need a finished player power. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about the goalkeeping situation. There's offers for Zirkzee. United are saying no to. Hojlund offers for him. We'll touch upon Garnacho and Anthony if we have time. But yes, let's get into today's video. Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news, transfer news, and update roundup. Starting with the story that Fabrizio Romano has said on Give Me Sport. Now, Fabrizio Romano, first of all, said earlier today that Sancho has rejected AS Roma. AS Roma are still pushing. Juventus kept pushing as well. Now, I'm going to be honest, Sancho wants to run down his contract so he can get a big signing on fee next year when he joins a club, because that's how he's going to make the most money. Romano was asked on why Jadon Sancho turned down Roma on Give Me Sport today, and this is what he said. But the real issue remains Sancho. That is what Fabrizio Romano's words were when he was asked why Sancho is turned down Roma. He said the real issue remains Sancho. He has to decide his future, and Sancho has told Roma he's decided not to accept the proposal. Roma were hoping to make it happen, but the financial and technical factors were crucial for Sancho. He wants Dortmund on deadline day, with us paying half of his wages for him to go and have a year at Dortmund. And then when that year's over, he will get a big signing on fee as a free agent to the next club he goes to. That's what he wants. IndyCar added to this story and said a few interesting things. And I just realised my slide was not up there. But IndyCar said that AFC Roma have submitted a 20 million permanent bid for Sancho, which we know Manchester United were willing to accept. And I can't even believe I let myself get my hopes up. He rejected Chelsea's money. Roma aren't going to offer him more money than Chelsea. It's not about minutes or any of that. Let's be honest, he's not played a pre-season game. He's not getting a lot of offers in. It is about holding Man United ransom. And the decision is up to him and Manchester United, according to Romano. But other sources are saying Sancho will need a big payout from United. He's got 1 year left on his contract. We gave Wan-Bissaka and McTominay a little bit of money. But he wants a big payout. Like a big payout to leave, because he's got 1 year left on his deal, and he knows he's on high wages, and he knows that we don't want him at the club, and he's in a position of power. He's saying, well, pay me and I'll leave. Give me the money and I'll leave, so we don't make any money from his sale. He wants the money. And I think Sancho believes the longer and longer he goes about finding a club, we'll cave at the end of the window and give him 15 million or whatever it is he wants to leave, which would be his whole transfer fee, and he can go and join another club. And I think that is a disgrace. I think it's an absolute disgrace. Look, Man United have only got themselves to blame. Sancho's well entitled to that money. We gave Sancho that money. We've only got ourselves to blame. We shouldn't have given him that much money so young. But I think it's embarrassing for Sancho. I just think when you put a post out 2 years ago saying all you want to do is play football with a smile on your face, well, you're turning down opportunities to play football. You're 25. I honestly believe there's a really good player in Jadon Sancho. If he wants to play football and he wants to try and he wants to work hard, I strongly believe that there's still a good player in Jadon Sancho that could do well in Italy in the right system. There's a World Cup year ahead. Like, he could, if he put his head down, had a good season, play in the World Cup. And I just think when you spoke about freedom, if leaving Man United's freedom, if all you want to do is play football, I get that, you're not going to get the money at Man United anywhere else in your next move, but it's just highlighting his bad attitude. And I just think if you're a club going in for Sancho next year when he's a free agent, I'd be put off. I was speaking to a Villa fan earlier, and he was saying he would have taken Sancho, but the way Sancho's acted this window, he wouldn't want Sancho even as a free agent now because he thinks there's so many red flags there. And for me, enough is enough. I think this Sancho not going to Roma gives INEOS one option, and that is we don't even care that you're on 250k a week. Go and waste a year of your career. We're not budging. And he can go and wait to the January window. And I think, and it's not an easy thing to do financially, that if we're not going to get Baleba, and we know we're not going to get Baleba, financially, just say to Garnacho and Sancho and Anthony, well, this is a World Cup year. You've not been picked for the squad today, Garnacho, and just keep them. Keep them and put them in the under-21s. And because they know all those three players, Chelsea, Betis, Sancho, probably Dortmund trying to get Sancho on deadline day on the cheap because that's classic Dortmund. All of them know that United will cave on deadline day and probably give them what they want. That's what they're all thinking because that's Manchester United. We're used to being pushed around. Imagine it gets to September 4th, is it? That's the day after the transfer window closes, and Sancho, Garnacho, and Anthony is still a Man United player. Those players will be fuming. But that's a message from INEOS. Don't hold us to ransom. Those three players can rot and not play football in a key year, and they can ruin their own careers. Now, Garnacho's on low enough wages, it's not the end of the world, and Anthony is willing to lower his wages to facilitate a move to Betis. The problem with Anthony is he's rejecting everybody else, so it is more Betis' fault, but Anthony needs to stop rejecting everyone else. Sancho's rejected everyone for Chelsea. Maybe he should go and look at his other options, people that are willing to pay up. But I think it would be a statement. Okay, this will be the second time that Jadon Sancho will go, 4 months without playing football between, September and January. You've only got short careers, and I think that's what INEOS need to do. I think we need to be brutal, because if we're not going to get Baleba and we can't afford Baleba and it is over, then we need to be brutal and do that. Continuing on into other news. As it stands, with 2 weeks of the window left, Manchester United are not progressing with any deal for a goalkeeper. Jamie Jackson also reported today they were unlikely to sign a goalkeeper. We couldn't move on Onana, we're struggling to move on Bayendir, unless one of those players has moved on. Sadly, we can't bring in a new goalkeeper. And that's another annoying situation of giving out higher wages. Lamens is the one we want. If we go for a goalkeeper, it will be Lamens, as Romana said, but we're struggling to move them on. Now, one player that we could move on and actually make profit on is Joshua Zirkzee. Now, I'm going to make this clear. I would not sell Joshua Zirkzee. I think he's got a big part to play, and I like Joshua Zirkzee. But there was rumours that Antonio Conte wants to sign Joshua Zirkzee as Romelu Lukaku's replacement. And I think he'd be perfect for Napoli. I think he would work well with McTominay. I think he'd be great. And there is rumours of apparently Napoli willing to pay 50 million, but it wasn't from a credible source. And you do think, well, that's, not 50 million. I think it was 40 million. Sorry, 50 million euros. And you think, well, that is profit on Joshua Zirkzee. We never make profit on a player. But I don't want to sell Zirkzee. I don't want to sell Zirkzee. I really like Zirkzee. I really think he's going to have a strong season. I'd rather sell Hojlund than Zirkzee, which may be an unpopular opinion. And luckily, INEOS think the same thing, because Romana said at the bottom here, Manchester United want to keep Zirkzee, no talks despite links today, clear plan by Amorim. But Napoli have also had direct contact with Man United regarding Hojlund, because Lukaku has now picked up a 3-month injury. Now, I think Napoli is a better move than AC Milan for Hojlund in terms of the system and the setup. AC Milan have offered us 39 million option to buy for Hojlund and 4 million guaranteed for the loan and his full salary. We ideally want Hojlund to go on a permanent. Apparently, Hojlund, if he leaves United, would rather go on a permanent because he doesn't want to go on a loan and not play, and that club can be like, well, we can just send him back. So maybe this puts Napoli in a position where they're more likely to do a permanent, but they're asking for loan conditions. Obviously, we prefer permanent, but I think because Hojlund, despite him showing promising signs in Italy, if we want 40 million for a player that got 4 Premier League goals last season, everybody's going to look for a loan over a permanent. Unless you're Chelsea with insane selling power, I don't see us getting a permanent for Hojlund. Ben Jacobs also said that Napoli are considering Rasmus Hojlund in light of Lukaku's injury. There's a 40 million asking price, but we could entertain loans. And Matteo Moretta also confirmed that United considers Zirkzee an important player and has no plans of letting him go. The player also wants to stay. Zirkzee wants to stay. He ended the season well. I want Zirkzee to stay. INEOS wants Zirkzee to stay. I think Zirkzee will stay, and I'm happy with that. So this was a report by Simon Stones. Man United are determined not to let Garnacho leave on the cheap. Good. This is why Garnacho hasn't gone to Chelsea, because we're not selling him on the cheap. You spent 55 million on Gittins, who's not better than Garnacho, from the Bundesliga, Dortmund, who aren't even a rival of yours, and the same age. we're a rival of yours. I don't care that we've fallen out with Garnacho. Garnacho's better than Gittins, is more experienced than Gittins. This is a direct rival of yours. You spent 55 million on Gittins, you sold Madueke for 52 million, you got 44 million for João Felix, you got 30 million for Kieran Dewsbury Hall that played about 3 games last season. You got 20 million for Broha, and you're coming and telling us that Garnacho's 30 million. Garnacho's a 60 million player in this market, but we're selling him for 50 million because we're desperate to get rid of him, and he's rejected everyone but you. But I like this from United because Gittins is Chelsea's current left wing option. He's not that good at the moment. I think he will be a good player, but he was awful versus Crystal Palace. You know, he looked physically out of place, and it wasn't the game for him. And I think games where he gets more space, maybe West Ham, I think he could have a good game. And I think Gittins will be a success for Chelsea, but he was not good yesterday. And I think Man United watching that Gittins was poor yesterday and got hooked in the 50th minute will make them say to Chelsea, well, you need that left winger, because Chelsea need a left winger and they need a centre back. And they can act like they don't need a left winger, this and that. And Xavi Simons is more of a Palmer player. He's not a Maresca winger. I think we're in a position where we can say to Chelsea, give us 50 million. Stop taking the mick. Because look, I think Gittins is raw, and I think that's why they need Garnacho. Romano also said that developments regarding Anthony's future, Betis hoping for his return, could happen soon, but finances are key. Basically, Betis know if they come on a deadline day, they've got a chance of getting on loan. They don't want to do a permanent deal, is what's been said. So that is your roundup. I do apologise that there was not a live stream today. Sometimes when I'm like stressed, but I don't even feel stressed, my body gets like something called functional tics, which is really rare. It's just the way I think my body responds to like stress or something. And I got a few this morning, so I don't want to go live in case like it went off mid-live. And obviously I could just say something or do some weird movement and I can't edit it out if I'm live. So I thought I'd do a pre-record in case it went off. But luckily it seems to be all right at the moment. So that's why there's no live. So I do apologise about that. But thank you for watching. I will be hopefully live tomorrow unless I get any issues with some functional tics tonight. Thank you for watching. Bye.